and see, so we can see what the ancestors and the spirits have to say for this month. What does it hold? Where are we going? What are the interesting things that are going to be coming forth? So let's go ahead and get the bones thrown and see what the ancestors have to say. We have definitely a range here of options, or should I say of distance. But most importantly, let's start with our central bones here. So we have this one, which is family, work, home. Now, the most prominent one here is these two that are crossed. The pathway of work and home are going to be crossing over quite a bit. Now, usually in the past, I've talked about how they have been areas where there's going to be influence between the two. And that's still the case here. But in this case, it's definitely coming up with more of the statement that some people, as we know and have experienced, spend so much time at work it becomes home. And sometimes home is also where we work, especially if you work from your own home. Here we have the crossing of the two. More so that the amount of time you spend at work is going to feel like home. But they're also diverging from each other. So there needs to be separation between the two. There is going to be support along the work environment, which is represented by this major spinal bone here. There's also going to be support around the home itself, which is represented by these two. Now, most importantly, it's about how you function when you recognize that the two need to diverge a bit, that there needs to be a separation between what your actual home physical life and your actual work home life, or your work home life. So what you do at work, how you do you feel at home, there are points where the two should not cross. And if they have been together, it's time for them to split. There is a moment where they are connected, which is what we see here in the crossing of those. But it's time that they went their separate ways. Now, we have the quartz piece here, which is about memory, thought, records, the wisdom of the past. For the wisdom of the past is what we use to make decisions for the future, and that's what it should be done. It is information that we use to make decisions for the future, not something we live in. Now, its presence, with its closeness to the home bone and the support there, is a reminder about what type of supports that we need and what do we remember as being part of our home. How has that been something that we use, and how do we have those relations around it? Now, with the fact that it's also here next to the top of the cervical bone, which, as I've said in the past, is the one at the top of the spine, but also kind of reminds me of the opening at the bottom of the pelvic bone, suggests that there is a connection also to the quartz piece with memory and new beginnings, but also in thought and record, which brings us downward into these rib bones. Now we have the rib and support, which are both support, and a bunch of support bones, but it is crossed by the broken rib bone. So with this, I kind of see an arc that's going all the way, over here into the home. And it brings, what this overall says there to me is the reminder that what we have at home is also something we need to nurture. Nurture about what it provides, because there is some strife. And the interesting thing is that if you follow the line of the broken rib bone, while it does intersect the family one, it does also include work. So that shows that, getting into the family aspect as well, that some relations are going to be going on that involve work, that also cross the family, but also are not of the best intent. There's a lot of anger and emotion there, but there's also a lot of support, which is why we see these rib bones also. This, by its very nature, is about making that, and which is why the establishment of work and home need to be separated become important. For example, in my own work, I do work as a therapist. There comes a point where I know I cannot see any of my family members for therapy. Vice versa, there is a limit to how much help I can provide or speak to them about when I am dealing with a family matter. Even more so comes the aspect of trying to separate out when it is time for me to deal with myself as a family member versus being a therapist. But it doesn't mean that I don't take those memories, both of a family member and as a therapist, and use them to try and have a more harmonious relationship, which brings sort of this curvature we're following here and these other support bones. And that brings us fully into the family bones. We have a lot of the support bones here, a lot of elements here that are supporting the family, and most especially the copper piece. So there's the elements of your family connection to spirit, to the higher forces. All of them are supported because it's in the center point of the family. So there's going to be some family issues that are going to be coming up, and they're going to cross, like I've said, with what the work you do and what you understand of being your home, all of which need to be understood that you need a separation between the two, and it's time for them to diverge, so that whatever is going to happen here in the family, you can address it preferably from both sides, both the work side and from the home life. What do you center and use as your center point? So, as we move on, we have some other straggler bones here. We've got this support bone here. This is another bit of information that's coming in. I would say this one is much more about, it's about decisions that are coming through. Decisions related to views. There's going to be things or stragglers. There are going to be information that's going to come forth that's going to help you make some very important and very pragmatic decisions as we move into the summer. And it is related to the summer months as we move into April and May. Or I should say the end of the spring, but beginning of the summer, which is also why it's moving into the summer. Here we have another rib bone and the tailbone. So there's some support that is going to be moving out of your life. And it's going to be starting to make its presence known as it moves away. Because this one is not something where I see it coming towards the group, it's something that's moving away. So something is coming to the tail end of its support systems, or that can also be a place that may be closing down, or an end of a cycle related to something in work. So let's say the project you're working on is winding down. But this is the one that's saying this is coming to end and it's going away, and the support that's all around it isn't there. Otherwise, we get over to this one here. This is something that's coming in. And I see this as being the new support, the new cycle. Now, its trajectory, looking at it, would bring it into alignment here with the work. So I suspect this is whatever the new possibility, the new support system that's related to work is coming in. So you're going to start, it's only on the horizon. So you're only going to start seeing that come in. So it might be new suggestions from coworkers, new potential projects that might be coming in that are in the early infancy stages, but you'll find out so that you'll be working on them. So overall, that's what the bones have to say for the month of April and what the ancestors have to say. So this is Uncle Destiny wishing you well, and on behalf of the ancestors and the spirits, may you have a blessed day, and always strive to come from a place of love and be the best ancestor possible. Ashe.